That's a lot of money.
What do you mean by that? How do you assess that that's a lot of money in foreign aid? Let me ask, what do you think this pays for? What do you think this money's going to?
I feel like we should help other countries if we have the money available to do so.
Well, people here say, well, we have a lot of problems in this country. Why aren't we helping people in this country?
A lot of these developing nations that we're probably propping up their entire economy. And so theoretically, we could invest that into destroyed areas of America.
Okay, and then what would these nations do who have a destroyed economy? Let's take something like Haiti. What would Haiti do then without any foreign aid?
Don't know.
Whose responsibility is it?
It's frustrating because where is my money going if they're still struggling?
Aid to Ukraine came in the form of military weapons that were made in the United States, produced in the United States, shipped over to Ukraine by American companies. When you put it in that context, that some of this aid is actually really for your benefit. U.S. foreign assistance, okay? This is over time, so we're going up to 2023. $71.9 billion in 2023. Is that a lot of money?
That's a lot of money.
What do you mean by that? How do you assess that that's a lot of money in foreign aid? Like, what do you say that's a lot of money? What do you mean? Like, what are you thinking? Like, what's your point of reference?
Considering it's in the billions and that high, I just view that as a lot of money.
Okay, that's cool. Just your first glance at that is that's a lot. Jaisal.
I can't comment on whether it's high or not. I think you can say it's high in comparison to 2021, but I'm not sure like how much the U.S. gives in aid to other countries, for instance. Like I know that this is talking because of Ukraine, there could be a boost in 2022 and 2023, but you can't arbitrarily state whether it's high or low without like comparing a baseline to what you're comparing it to, I think.
Well, let me ask you, okay, so let me ask this. Drew, what percentage of the federal budget do you think this is in the United States?
Probably like 12%.
What percent?
12 if I had to throw a number out.
12%?
Maybe less.
What do you think?
I was going to say like 18, 20%.
18 to 20%? Jaisal, how about you?
Like the entire federal budget? I think I would agree with Drew. Probably somewhere around like 10%, maybe. Slightly lower than 12, I would argue.
This is the foreign aid that the United States gave out in 2023. Do you think that's a lot of money? Foreign aid, that's aid we gave to other nations in the world. U.S. tax dollars.
No.
No? What percentage of the U.S. budget do you think this is?
Like 15, 20%.
15, 20%? So it's basically 1.1, 1.2% of the federal budget, okay? What's that mean? What's that mean to you? Like, it's about 1%. Now, is that a lot of money?
Not at all.
Why
no.
not? Like what?
Because it's barely any of the full income, and I don't know, I feel like we could give a lot more.
Based on what, though? See, this is not an answer. You don't have answers to this, right? This is the first time you've ever thought about this, okay? There's no right or wrong, but you're suddenly saying, wait, hang on. It seemed like a lot of money, but now that it's only a little over 1%, maybe it's not very much money, and we could give more. Of course we could give more. So I'm just sort of watching your mind, where your thoughts go, because this is what's really interesting, is where do our thoughts go on these questions? Jaisal, do you have an answer? Does it seem like a lot of money?
So what interests me about that graph is if you look before 2019, you actually have spikes that go above 1.17%. I'm not very informed on what was happening in the world before 2019. But there was a huge dip. I'm going to assume that the COVID-19 had something to do with this. But given the fact that it was higher than 1.17% pre-COVID time, I would argue that it's pretty nominal. Actually, might be lower than what the U.S. was doing in the past.
Yeah, but listen, but it's not that much, really, relatively speaking. 1.4% down to, it still isn't a lot, relatively speaking. But nonetheless, okay. Bro, when you see that it's almost like 1.2%, what do you make of that? Given what you said, what you thought it was.
Zelensky didn't even get half that. My first thought, just the thing he said on TV, that he didn't even see like half the money that we claim to have sent him. That's my first thought. Also, just that it's in my opinion, a whole percent too much. It should be like 0.017, if that much.
Okay. Well, let me, Tolo. How about Let me ask. What do you think this pays for? What do you think this money's going to?
Do I think the money's going to?
Yep, it's foreign aid. You hear this term Wait, how old are you? 18?
I'm 19.
19. Okay, so you hear this term foreign aid. Where are we sending this money? What's it paying for?
I'm not quite sure exactly.
Where do you think it's going?
I don't know, third world countries.
Yeah, okay, and what do you think it's paying for? What kinds of things do you imagine that we're spending this money on?
The military.
Military for one. Hold the mic really close.
Military?
Okay, what else?
Not sure.
Yeah? It's aid. Think about that. So hang on. Jazel, how about you? What do you think it's going toward? It's aid. Assistance.
Like ideally it would be going for shelters, things where like a country which has been impacted by some sort of like global pandemic or is going through certain problems and the U.S. has good ties with, they might be providing aid for those. So I would be thinking about shelter, food, possibly helping stabilize their economy in some way, and also like military defense. Like we mentioned Ukraine, so it could be possible that it helps with their like ability to defend for themselves.
Okay, so Tolu, like healthcare, food, aid, these kinds of things, shelter, building houses, okay. Anything else? What do you think is the biggest thing we're spending on?
Like out of this budget?
Yep.
Salaries.
Salaries?
Yeah.
What, and after that, but what's okay, salaries for sure, but what's it going for?
Like on paper?
Yeah, like what salaries people are working in what area?
Food, medicine, shelter.
Okay. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I was gonna say healthcare. Like would be the biggest one.
Okay. All right, let's go to the next one. So these are this is, helping to create jobs and helping to move all sorts of things forward. Projects, building roads, building dams, building electrical grids, humanitarian assistance, healthcare, peace and security, right? And military was 11%. So this is, it's going to a lot of different things. So a little over 1% of our budget is going to a lot of different things, okay? How is that? Does that make sense? Does it feel like, okay, that's what we're doing? You're helping other people out in the world. The four of you are paying tax dollars to this government, to your federal government. And your federal government takes that money and sends some of it overseas to help other people. Ariana, how is that for you?
Yeah, I mean, that sits right with me. I feel like we should help other countries if we have the money available to do so.
Well, people here say, well, we have a lot of problems in this country. Why aren't we helping people in this country?
I'd say I feel like they help our country and they help other countries the best they can.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the fires in Hawaii where they got like $700, and I think it was Virginia, I want to say, where they got like 500 for their wrecked houses.
Yeah, but hang on. That was 500. That was an immediate loan, like right away. Okay.
Right.
So you basically say, hey, I need some cash right now. Here's $500. Here's $1,000. That's not all anybody got.
Right.
Okay, that's the FEMA thing. But no, but that's really important.
I just mean more in the sense of like a lot of these developing nations that we're probably propping up their entire economy. And so theoretically, we could invest that into destroyed areas of America.
Okay, and then what would these nations do who have a destroyed economy? Let's take something like Haiti. What would Haiti do then without any foreign aid?
Don't know.
Whose responsibility is it?
80?
Yeah?
I would say so.
Uh-huh. How about the countries where we've played a pivotal role in their history? Like a place like Guatemala, El Salvador.
Right, where we just went in and it up.
Yeah,
Like
in a manner of
yeah,
speaking.
like-
How about those countries?
I mean,
How about Haiti, where we went in and did that? But okay, go ahead.
no, I mean, it's a fair point. Like, yes, we're part of the reason that they're a third world country now. Mm-hmm. It is like it's a moral question. Do we owe it to them to try to fix what we did? And I mean, you could definitely say yes, but I mean, they're not America. Like, we shouldn't be. I don't think we should be propping them up.
Tolu, so you're Nigerian, right? And you have family in Nigeria.
Yeah,
How often are they asking for money?
every day.
Yeah, what are they asking for?
They're asking for money just to feed the whole entire family, and every day, to help take care of their own kids, to take care of themselves. Even my grandfather, he has dementia, just to get him the proper care that he needs.
So school supplies, uniforms to go to school, books, these kinds of
Clothes,
things,
everything,
medicine.
Yeah.
And how is that for you as an American now, right? So here you are.
Yeah.
Is your family, are you citizens or residents?
Citizens.
Citizens? Okay.
Yeah.
So how is that for you? Like this is a form of foreign aid, right? That you are, you make money, you're funneling it off to your family members across the Atlantic.
I would say it's frustrating because we have our own problems down here, and we get that call quite often. But I understand, like, times are tough down there, and they just can't go out and make that easy money like we can down here. So that's why we always help out best we can.
So when you think about this foreign aid going to things and countries, and Nigeria gets money from the U.S., right? How is that for you? We're taking tax dollars from people here, and we're funneling that and sending it off.
Can you ask again? Ask me your question one more time.
Yeah. How is it for you when you know that, okay, we're taking these tax dollars and we're sending money off to nations, around Africa, around Asia, Latin America?
It's frustrating because where is my money going if they're still struggling?
If they're still struggling. Okay. That's interesting. About half of all foreign aid that we send out is tied. And let me explain what this means. That means, like, when we get farmers to grow, we're going to send wheat to Ethiopia. Okay? Well, where's the wheat come? Are farmers just donating that? No. We take tax dollars, we pay farmers for their wheat, and then we pay, U.S. transporters to transport that wheat to the granaries, and then we have to get it to the railroads, and then we gotta send it by rail off to the ports, and then we gotta send it on the port. We have to load it onto ships, and we have to send it across the world. And then once we get it across the world, we gotta put it onto trucks or rail cars, and we gotta send it to where it needs to go. And all of that is part of the aid process. Okay? And so about 50% of all this aid is tied, which means that so we send this money, this is all these dollars here, these billions of dollars. We send it around here. Some of it goes to the recipient country, but the rest of it comes back around here. So it's tax dollars being spent on Americans who are producing the aid that we're going to give abroad. So about 50% of it is actually coming right back to this country. Meaning that, that $79 billion or whatever, about half of it is just going right back into the U.S. economy. So, Drew, how is that for you? Think about that, about half of it. So all that number, we can cut it in half. Even the aid to Ukraine. Aid to Ukraine came in the form of military weapons. that were made in the United States, produced in the United States, shipped over to Ukraine by American companies. And so, many Americans profit. But there are a lot of Americans in Washington lobbying to get the United States government to send more aid to Ukraine because they want to build all those weapons to send over to Ukraine. Not you, not me. I'm not going to profit from that, but they will. So oh, okay. So how is that? Tying the aid like that. Just put it in that perspective.
Like with the food aid or
Yeah, any aid at all. It's all the same.
Well, for the aid, like this diagram shows, I feel like it'd be a lot simpler to just invest all of that straight into American farmers so that they could just produce when it would cut out the middleman, so to speak.
Yeah. But listen, if we got farmers who are overproducing food, so they're just not going to sell their grain, okay? And then the farmers okay, so we're not going to produce this. So they're not going to, you know what I mean? They're not going to make money.
Couldn't they export it?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, but who's going to buy it? You know what I mean? This is the thing. Ethiopia is not going to buy it. Nigeria is not going to buy it. Haiti's not going to buy it. It's complicated, So sometimes you're going to go dump it on another country. And so, all right, it's a thing, right? It's a thing. So here, go to this next slide. How important are these countries around the world for the well-being of the United States? Ariana, what do you think? How important, we're in a global economy. How important are these countries for your well-being and the well-being of everybody here and the U.S. and the U.S. economy and the U.S. political system? And
I don't think they're that important on the effects of the way we live, but if we're going to be trading resources or technology with them, I feel like that's a benefit. But
okay, so then it's important.
Then it's important.
Because we are trading. The world is a global trade hub. Mm-hmm. Everybody's trading all around the world. So what happens in some of these countries is also really important for what happens here. Okay?
Actually, I think they're quite important. So you mentioned about how there's trade occurring all around the world. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there are resources in the U.S. that due to climate or certain geographical conditions can't be produced. So maybe the aid, I'm not sure how true this is, but the aid could help build good foreign relations with certain countries to be able to get source of material that you might not find in the U.S. that could be important for sustaining the economy.
Okay.
I like coffee, and a lot of coffee comes from Africa. So,
okay.
There's things that we don't get in the U.S. that we are able to get from other countries. Mm-hmm. So I think that trade aspect is important to think about. Also, a lot of these countries are in very pivotal places geographically for trade routes. Whenever you go into the Middle East, for instance, the Middle East is known a lot for their trade routes. Yep. And you can see a lot of aids getting sent around there. And then Ukraine, we know the reasons.
So here, let me give you one on coffee. So right now, there are these, we're kind of in a little bit of a crisis because the coffee crop around the world is suffering from some diseases that people are really, really concerned about. If we don't get on this, right, for some of this economic development work, if we don't get on it to figure out, man, we got to figure out this coffee blight here, because if we don't figure this out, in 5 or 10 years, the world could lose half the coffee crop. And so we're now suddenly taking our foreign aid. So you don't think anything of it. Do you like coffee, bro? Do you like coffee? You like coffee? You like coffee? Okay, so the three of you, this guy doesn't really care, but the three of you, what's that? I drink tea. Tea? All right, tea. All right, but the rest of us, I love coffee. And if suddenly the coffee industry collapses, in different parts of the world, Vietnam produces more coffee than any nation in the world. So let's say in Vietnam, the coffee industry collapses, and we think oh, okay, well, the Vietnamese didn't get on that. But for us, that's a really important thing. So we're going to spend money to try to figure out what's going on with the coffee crop in Vietnam and in Costa Rica and Ecuador and Brazil and so on to, make sense of that, because that's the well-being of us. We're connected to the coffee crop, or chocolate in Côte d'Ivoire, or whatever it is, wherever it is. So What do you think of that? When you put it in that context, some of this aid is actually really for your benefit.
Well, if we're talking about billions and billions of dollars, and out of concern for the necessity out of like all America, like looking at it from that perspective, wouldn't it make the most what's that expression, bang for your buck, to invest billions of dollars into producing coffee here?
We can't produce coffee here. Yeah.
Why not?
Because we don't have the right soil. We don't have the right. It's just that we don't have the right geography to do coffee in any significant way. All right. Yeah. Coffee is very hard to produce. Yeah. Okay. So this is the thing, dude. Do you see what just happened right there? You're saying like, well, let's just produce coffee here. You're making a very thoughtful statement. Well, why are we going to worry about what happens over there? Let's just do it here. But we can't do it here. So you see, like you can have all these opinions about the fact that we're spending all this money on the coffee crop on the other side of the world. But the fact is, without even realizing that's not going to make any sense. This is the problem that we're in all the time, having to make these kinds of decisions.